This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 551 from May 14th, 2018. Thanos is so hot right now.
Purple and gold is definitely the way to go.
Welcome back to another episode of That Video Game Podcast. I'm your host, Boston, and joining me as always is Moonpier.
Hello.
Quick piece of Patreon news here at the beginning. There's a week left to vote for the new Game Club game. There are 3 selections, which I won't spoil for you. I feel like I'm always rooting for one of them, and I'm rooting pretty hard for one of them this time. But
I voted already for the one I'm rooting for.
Okay, I don't even think I've voted. I probably shouldn't, but
no, you're not allowed to. You're not a patron. You're not a Patreon. You are the patron.
I'm the patron.
Wait, no.
Papa.
Yeah. The sugar daddy of peas.
I actually don't think it'll let me vote because I wrote the poll.
Good. It shouldn't.
Yeah, you can't seed the results. Like, that's not how that works. So yeah, go vote over there. It's open to all patrons. So no matter at what level are you a patron, you can go vote. And don't forget, patreon.com/UNM1. The $5 tier is a sweet spot. So go join and get some cool stuff. Like, if you're listen to the Outcasts, which is all the stuff we just talked about for half an hour. Wow! Before we started the actual episode, and then all the bits between and at the end of the show. I think last week's was shorter. It was about 15 minutes, just because of the technical issues. The week before that, and probably this week, was like 45 minutes. So if you want a whole nother episode of TVGP, basically, where we talk about everything else and it's uncensored, Outcast is what you're looking for. Patreon.com/E1M1. That's my sales spiel. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Apparently I'm done with the episode. Bye, see you. Let's move on to Moonpier. What have you been playing this past week? After T-Bomb R was just a bit of a hot mess at the beginning, I'm being consistent here.
Yep, keeping up the chain going for this week. Okay, so start with nice and simple. Shovel Knight. I only played it a little bit. I think I defeated the Lich Knight. I think.
Oh, okay.
Let's just say that I have a hard week of Shovel Knight ahead of me.
Yeah, I have finished, I think, 5 bosses, so I'm past the halfway point. There are 8 bosses and then the last level.
Yeah, I just need to be honest, something we discussed on the outtakes section is I haven't had the best month, shall we say, for free time.
Rough times.
So it's one of those things it's taken a little bit of a back seat, but you know, it's me. When I get my head into something and I want to hammer down on something, I can do it. So I'm looking forward to a week of nothing but Shovel Knight. So expect my section next week.
Incredible soundtrack. It's so good.
Yeah, it's really kind of good. And the game is a lot harder than I was expecting. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. Well, the thing I like about it, though, because I've been playing a lot of it this past week. We'll talk about it a lot on the recap episode. It controls so well. And it's, I feel like every time I die, it's either because I was trying to do something that was too cute and the game sort of punished me, or I'm sort of learning the level a little bit, but you don't have lives, so it's not like Mega Man where it's like, all right, 3 tries all the way back to the beginning of the level, like, let's do this again. The checkpoints are fair, the level design is fair, you just sort of have to keep playing it, get through it. You know, they always have a checkpoint right before the boss. The boss doesn't do its intro after the first time. You know, it's all this stuff is really smartly done.
Some of the I think I've only had like 2 or 3 bosses so far, and I think it's the Lich Knight is the one with the scythe.
Yep.
And that is a really cool boss battle.
Yeah.
And then it gets really hard at the end.
Yeah, like all of us when the boss only has like 2 or 3 orbs left, it goes nuts.
Yep. But The game is stylish as hell. It's
Yeah.
really cool. The music is fantastic. And it's one of those things where it's like, I should play this more. I've got 10 minutes. I can't do a level in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's
For better
kind
or
of the
worse,
one-
each level is a little bit long.
Yeah, that's kind of like the one downside for me, is because of the limits I've had. It's kind of put a brakes on it for me. But this week, it's going to be a case of, let's go home, let's shovel some fools, and, you know,
Shovel
get to
it
the
up.
end of the game. Yes. Yeah, but yeah, Shovel Knight. I'm actually really looking forward to seeing what everybody says about it on the recap episode, and hearing from people who are playing it at the same time. Leave little messages in Discord, get involved in the conversation. You know,
Let's chat about it. There's some really cool secrets in this game that I'm remembering now.
Yes, I'm so confused by certain stuff, like the fishing, like the weird echo things, the giant toad.
One of my favorite things is the Trouble King, when every time you talk to him, he says, I can give you some ichor. By the way, it's pronounced ichor. And I'm like, right, I never remember it's pronounced that. Thank you for reminding me. It's ichor. And then I read it and go, yeah, ichor.
Yep. Every single time. But yeah, other than that, I played some very little bit of Dead by Daylight. Like, I love Friday the 13th, the game.
Mm-hmm.
Friday the 13th is hamstrung by the fact that there is like 10 people in a lobby.
Yeah.
Which can get a little bit overwhelming, especially in a game like that where you need some, everybody needs to have their roles, their things. Everyone needs to be helping ideally. This, on the other hand, like Dead by Daylight, I think it's sized so well. Like, the maps are the right size, the balance is just right, with the exception of the pig-faced soul lady.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everything seems really perfectly balanced, and they actually, I didn't know this, Jess was reading up on it, the developers, when they release a new killer DLC, they overpower them deliberately, and then over time tap them down a little bit until they're more in line with the other killers, rather than have them come out and be weak. They have them come out and be strong, and then just tap them down until they're balanced. Like, I think it's a smart way of doing things.
Well, and you get people to play it too, instead of like, yeah, you don't need to buy this DLC because like they're just super weak and they're just a glass cannon. It's like, well, I'm not gonna spend the money on that then.
Yeah, exactly. But no, Dead by Daylight, I don't know what it is about that game. It's so incredible, like, just the tension it can produce, the different styles of the killers. I played a little bit as killers this week, it's kind of cool, like, having everyone have their own special powers.
Yeah.
The Wraith who goes invisible, and when you come out of invisibility, the way they balance that is you ring a giant gong. So, literally, you come out of invisibility, and if people haven't seen the Predator shimmer as you approach them, all they hear is gong, gong, gong as you ring this cowbell.
That's awesome.
Like, oh, killer's nearby. But no, the game is super fun. Like, if you want to play it, contact me or my wife. I'm sure she will love to play it, considering she has prestiged one character twice already.
Wow.
She has a problem. A very serious Dead by Daylight problem.
Reminds me, speaking of prestige, I need to write a note for one of my other games. Prestige.
What did you do?
Oh, no. No, I have not. No, just that it is a feature. It is certainly not something I've done.
Okay.
I have prestiged 5 times. Tip, tip, tip.
Yes. Just give it a quick shout out here, because we talked enough about Marvel Puzzle Quest. Strike Force, yeah, that game is still great. That game is really well balanced, I feel. And it's Galaxy of Heroes. It's like right in my jam. Like, I'm already level 42. Like, I feel like I've got the daily rotation of this game down already, because I did it for 5 years playing Galaxy of Heroes.
Yeah, the only thing that's sort of a bummer for us is, for anyone that's listening, we're sort of wrapping up the Thanos raid. It's basically, you run the raid a bunch to get orb fragments. Once you have enough to do a pull, then you get shards for the character. You get enough shards for the character, you get the character. Because we started like halfway into the raid, when we all started, the take a step back. The Alliance is now private if anyone wants to join it. you're more than welcome to hit us up in Discord. Hit up either Jive45 or myself, Jive495 or myself, and we'll invite you in. We had a bunch of people that joined and then just spent like a ton of our raid tokens, which are shared across the entire alliance. So,
yep,
gotta lock that down. So it's sort of frustrating because I feel like all of us, there's like 16 people in the alliance now, all of us leveled up really quickly and we're doing really well at the raids right now. It's just like 2 weeks too late for like nearly any of us to get Thanos.
The one bright side of this is if it's like Galaxy of Heroes, and I think it should be in this sense, they rotate that stuff out. Like Galaxy of Heroes would have this thing where it's like you can only unlock Yoda through this specific event using these specific characters, and this event only goes on for 14 days.
Right.
But then 6 months later, that event will roll back around again. And by the time you see it the second time, you know, okay, I really want Yoda, so I'm going to make sure that all of my dark side, like Sith characters, are really high ranked because you need them to unlock him. So it gives you 6 months of preparation to get ready for the next time he rolls around.
Right.
And then you end up unlocking like a maxed out Yoda, which is fantastic.
Well, and I think it's making me and a lot of other people in the Alliance feel better about the next raid that's going to roll around. Because not only, there's sort of, for anyone that hasn't played, there's sort of a raid that's always running that gets you like upgrade materials. But whatever the next raid is, I feel like we can really hit the ground running and kind of slow and steady just unlock that stuff over the month or whatever it's going to take to run.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, that game's really good, and I want to give props to the devs, but I kind of don't feel like I can because it's essentially its exact copy of Galaxy of Heroes.
Well, I mean, Galaxy of Heroes was very clearly a formula that worked for a lot of people for a very long time. So
it was also the fact that it was a branding a franchise that people adore. So they've done the right choice here and chosen a different Disney franchise to do it with.
Right. Well, it's obviously a very hot Thanos time. Thanos is so hot right now. He's showing up in Fortnite of all things. Which is, watching that transformation is actually really cool. But boy, if only I had the time.
Have you seen his abilities?
Yeah, they're real strong. That's another one where it's like we're gonna put him in the game and make him real strong. Whoops. Okay, too strong. Let's pull that back a little bit. Oh man,
I almost spoiled the movie. Whew, yeah, I'm so glad I caught myself.
Don't worry, I've gotten nearly everything in Infinity War spoiled for me because as the internet
tweet once about like the first spoiler you got, and I was curious about what it was, but I don't really want to bring it up on the show or outtakes in case people haven't listened.
It's basically the ending.
Okay.
I think we talked about it on the show, but like my patience for the internet being impatient about spoilers 3 days after a movie has come out is really tiring. It's like, bro, it came out on Friday and it's Tuesday. Why haven't you seen it yet? And it's like, well, I stay-at-home dad, dude. I can't take my 18-year-old for a 2.5 hour movie.
For the record, that's 18-month-old, not 18-year-old.
No, if she was 18 years, I mean, come on, let's go see Infinity War.
You'd be going to do that in cosplay.
Yeah, probably. Here's my daughter, Thanos.
Yes. But, I mean, yeah, I get it. That's why if I care about something, I'm just like, nope, I'm off media. I did the same thing with Infinity War. Like, it came out on Friday, and people started talking about it on my feed. I was like, see you guys tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm seeing it on Saturday.
To be clear, like, I'm not going to be able to see the movie until it comes out on Blu-ray. And I understand in that, like, probably 6 month period, things are going to get spoiled for me. That's sort of how it works with a very large movie that comes out and I have a protracted amount of time before I see it. Like, just talking about the movie is going to happen.
Yeah.
Not 3 days after. It's not like, here's what happens, X, Y, and Z. See you later. It's like, well, okay.
Anyway, back to video games.
Yes.
So yeah, Marvel Strike Force is kind of cool. I do love the work that they did with the engine. I love the fact that all the characters are animated superbly.
It's
My
beautiful.
wife and I are both Yeah, my wife and I both kind of nerd out about specific character animations while they're idling, like what specific people do. And I do love the fact that on rooftop maps, they have included the fall, because I watched Crossbones punch someone off a rooftop and then their little crosshair that marks them as a target went all the way down.
Oh, so. You know what? I think we were talking about yesterday or last week about any units that team up with each other, and I've actually seen 2 sets of units that do that this past week.
Me and my wife have been talking about this. The Defenders and City specifically is what she's building towards. I'm working on the Defenders.
Oh, well, I was specifically talking about units that team up with each other to attack. Have you seen any of those?
Yep, I've seen a couple of them. My average squad right now is Luke Cage, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and Spider-Man, and usually it's the hand enchantress lady, because she's a high-level healer.
Yeah.
Which, thank you, wife, for that.
Yes, thank you. Thank you to Moonpier's wife. She educated me on that unit being really good.
Yep. But I run with them, and then it's a specific percentage chance based on skills that they unlock. Like, for example, Jessica Jones, her Tier 4 skill, which is unlocked when you get Gear Tier 5 or Gear Tier 4. Hers gives a 10% increase of speed to all Defenders allies. So Luke Cage gets 10% speed, Daredevil gets 10% speed, and Iron Fist would get 10% speed as well. But then I think Luke Cage, he's got a team buff that does specifically for city-based heroes. Like, Wolverine is a global hero, so he's rated as global.
Right.
Jessica Jones is city, Daredevil is city, Luke Cage is city, and Spider-Man is city. So they're all based in specific cities. So then all of a sudden you'll see Daredevil and Luke Cage just start pummeling one dude backwards and forwards. Like,
real like Civil War style.
Yes. Yeah. It's a really cool, like... seeing those synergies in there gives me hope. I just want a squad builder, like, where I can just hit one button and choose that squad.
Yeah. The 2 I saw this past week, and I know they're not new because I've seen them before, are one is Groot will pick up Rocket Raccoon, and they will do like a whole sweep across the screen. And the other one I really like is Iron Man will hit Captain America's shield and like refract it and hit the entire enemy team.
That's kind of cool. That'll be an Avengers team up, that one.
Yeah, and that's like, I like that because that's just a little bit. It doesn't do a ton of damage, probably not yet because we're all sort of low level. But I like seeing little synergies like that.
Yeah, that was the thing in Galaxy of Heroes. Like, I had a First Order squad specifically. The biggest difference between Galaxy of Heroes and Strike Force that I've seen is that ability, that bottom ability for each of the characters, like Jessica Jones's buff for Defenders and someone else's buff for City. That was specifically in Galaxy of Heroes, that was a leader ability. So everyone in your squad could have a leader ability, but only the leader of the squad had that applied.
Gotcha.
So Phasma I had as the leader of my First Order squad, and her buff for that was every time you attack, there is a 30% chance somebody else does the standard basic attack at the same time. That changes to 60% chance if it's a First Order member. So I literally had her with just First Order people. And at every single time someone attacks, there's a 60% chance of someone else getting another attack at the same time.
That's huge.
So it was just about building around synergies for different characters and different squads. And if this... now I just need to unlock all of the characters in this game so I can start experimenting with synergies.
Yeah.
Which takes time and energy and resources.
And thankfully not money, because, man, they keep popping up characters where it's like, hey, you can get... who's right now?
It's Gamora, I believe, right now.
Oh, for me, it's Nebula.
It's Nebula.
Yeah, Nebula. Yeah. For only $30. It's like, no.
Yep.
Never. That's so... Like, to me... The introductory price they always switch out what character is offered for brand new players. For me, it was Captain America.
Same for Jess.
Yeah, and it popped up, and right now I think it's Jessica Jones for new characters right now. For me, it popped up and said, "Hey, you can buy Captain America. It's only $10." And I was like, you know what? $10 is something I can spend as an introductory. I will support the developers. I knew within like a day or two that clearly this game is good. I'll throw $10 at you. You want to pop up a $60 Black Panther? one unit is not going to be as good as a brand new game for a console. Like, there's almost no, like, even as good as Thanos seems to be, I'm not dropping 60 bones on one digital character.
No, exactly. So, again, just like Galaxy of Heroes, it's a game where if you want to spend the money to get there, you can.
Oh, yeah. You want to be a whale, they will take that whale money.
That's the funny thing. When I played Galaxy of Heroes, I played in an alliance with a bunch of people who had dropped $200 to $300 on it. And I was still better than them because I'd been playing the game longer, because I had ground out that experience to the max.
Yeah.
And they would always say to me, well, how are you so strong? How much money did you put into this game? I'd be like, nothing. I've just been playing it since the day it got released.
Just been taking the time, baby.
Yeah. And it's about focusing down on stuff. Like, if you want to do something specifically, go for that specifically.
Yeah.
Like, right now, I'm trying to build 3 teams so I can go into a raid and have my base team start it, my C team start, my B team middle, and my top tier team as like the boss levels.
The finishers.
So I'm not spending either purple currency or raid medkits on trying to get people back into the fight. If I can do that with 3 different teams, even if your top team is better than my top team, if I've got 3 teams that are above average, I can go further into that kind of experience.
Exactly.
Than you can. Because I've got that base level.
That's my shortcoming right now. Sort of like, I have a real good team and everybody else is real bad.
But yeah, I mean, it just depends on how you want to do it. Like, I think Jess is the same. She's doing a top level team, whereas other people like me will be, I don't care about teams, I want this character, and then they will focus everything down on getting that character. So play it how you want to play it.
Yeah.
You know, it's fun. It's actually genuinely fun.
It's really good.
I love how much effort they've put into the animations, to everything else about it. The story is usual mobile phone game hokum. But, you know, I'll take it.
It's to me, it's like Marvel Puzzle Quest. It's inoffensive. Like, oh no, Hulk is getting really angry. Let's bring him to his lab. 7 missions. You know, like, that's fine. They have a skip button for story that, you know,
I hit that every time.
Yeah, I sort of get the theme. Like, the Hulk is really angry. He might lose control. 3 more missions. Okay.
Yep.
That's fine.
Yeah, I do find it funny that they did Deus Ex Machina. Deus Ex Machina, a reason why he's not unstoppable, which is he's half full of vaccine. So he can talk, but he's still the Hulk, so he's kind of weak, but kind of not the Hulk. So it's like, okay, whatever.
He can just talk. Like, I don't need the whole thing.
But yes, Marvel Strike Force. Go play it. We are all seemingly having a lot of fun doing it.
Join the Alliance.
Part of the Game Pass deal, I started playing Defense Grid 2 because I needed a game that I could play in 10-minute chunks, just sit there, plant a bunch of towers, stick it on fast forward and see how I do.
Yeah.
Which, I played a lot of Defense Grid 1. I think it's a pretty good, like, tower defense game. It's got interesting variety of units. Like, I don't know what engine they're using for the new one, but it's pretty good looking. It's all set in space, so you've got, like, docking stations and asteroid belts and all kinds of stuff. But it's pretty good. The one downside is it's got 3 AI characters so far who will never, ever, ever shut up. One of them's Australian, one of them's English, and the other one is American. So it's 3 rival accents, 3 rival personalities. Just like, no, enough. Just give me 2 lines about the story and then move on. I don't need to hear all of this other stuff. But it's been my go-to game of, I got 20 minutes. I'm just going to do 2 missions, you know, build a bunch of towers, see how it goes, see what went wrong, and then stop and then play something else.
Yeah.
So, Defense Grid 2, it's free with Game Pass. It stops being free with Game Pass at the end of this month. But I think at this point, it's probably only like $5-10, so I might just end up picking it up after the fact.
Yeah.
And my last game this week, the game that sucked away my yesterday evening and most of my this morning, The Division. Tom Clancy's The Division.
The game I keep meaning to start.
Yes, the game you should 100% start and ideally get the season pass for.
Yeah, I think I might have it on PS4 because it was on one of those like digital Christmas sales. It was $7. It's like, well, okay, I can probably spend $7.
Yeah. So we're in the process, my wife and I are in the process of taking Kat, one of our friends who had the game, for getting them to level 30 so they can experience the end game stuff.
Right.
And then go into the Underground, which the Underground is, it wasn't the first DLC, but it was one of them. And the Underground is the one where it's a randomly generated dungeon every single time you go down.
Yep.
And you can activate modifiers on it so you can make it harder for yourself to get better rewards.
Yeah, that's the stuff.
Really, that's the stuff that's going to keep me playing it.
Yep.
Until, while playing it this morning with my wife, we were experimenting a little bit and we jumped into I think the latest DLC, which is the Survival DLC.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you don't know, the Survival DLC is a roguelike version of this game.
Yeah, it seems real good.
Like, we didn't know what we were doing. Like, for the record, I couldn't remember. I do believe we've talked about it on the show, like the DLC coming out, but none of us played it, so we didn't go into detail. It's literally, you jump in a helicopter, you're told to go help with this situation, get a hazmat suit on because there's diseases out there. Things go south, the helicopter crashes, you fall on a board with a nail, which digs straight into your shoulder, which is both gross and painful, but obviously that destroys your hazmat suit. You are now infected with a disease that you have an hour to live.
Oh.
So it strips you of all of your gear, all of your everything, no weapons, you basically get a pistol and that's it, and then it's go into the world, find medicine, find supplies, keep yourself hydrated, get food, get water, get new gear, get equipment, get supplies, craft the cosmetic items to give yourself thermal resistance because it's windy and cold outside.
Right.
Because New York is in the middle of a really incredible looking blizzard. And then make it to the dark zone and extract by crafting a flare gun so you can escape from the dark zone.
Wow.
It's really good. Like, that's
what I heard.
Like, it's so stupid. You can choose PvE and PvP as well, which is fantastic. But
thank God,
we found the dead bodies of people who had died by NPC, so we stole all their stuff.
Oh yeah.
So it was a little confusing at first. I'm not gonna lie, it was a little bit distracting at first. The loot is not shared like it is in the main game. If you're standing next to someone and they open a chest and it's got a med kit in and they take it, you don't get to loot that chest as well.
Okay.
They take it. So it's actually a pro-con of you work together, but you're only in the same area and can only get the same supplies as each other. So you can't double up on everything like you normally would do. But yeah, I think we're probably going to end up doing a deep dive in that survival mode because
it sounds real cool.
Really, the game is beautiful anyway. I've mentioned that before while talking about this game. But then you throw in a ridiculous snowstorm hurricane looking thing where it's just wind whipping at your face constantly. You have to go find barrels so you can set them on fire and keep yourself warm in the cold. The fact that they brought a way to bring the cosmetic influence into it, where the fact that you can craft cosmetic clothes to increase your thermal resistance is a really smart touch to implement something that exists in the game into this survival mode. I really want to do it just so I can see what kind of level of loot, because when you're in there, as you're picking up stuff, like when we successfully made the transition from the city proper into the dark zone, and the boxes that you pick up in survival mode contain at least 2 or 3 levels of gear, which are 2 or 3 items of gear which are really highly tiered for what you currently are at. So it's not a case of pulling up 20 chests and they're 10 points below your current gear score and you hope to get one of them that is over your gear score. It's a case of, no, these are right around your gear score, so it's probably going to help a lot.
Oh, cool.
We died before we could extract is the downside of that. I froze to death and she was shot to death. But the fact that this survival DLC, they've put it in there is an absolute genius touch. And I'm not going to lie, while I was playing it, I was thinking Boston should probably play this DLC.
Yeah, I've always thought that. Grumble.
But I mean, The Division is cool. It's a cool game. I've always enjoyed playing it. It has its downsides. The enemies are a bit bullet spongy, but at the same time, I like the setting. I like the way it looks. I think it controls really well. I love the special abilities that you get, including the little BB-8 who goes and chases people and blows them up.
Right.
Like, it's a fun game, and the fact that we've now got this whole new mode, which we didn't know about until today, means that I'm probably going to be playing a lot of The Division. I'm pretty sure my wife is downstairs right now playing The Division, and I don't like her for that.
Well, I mean, just like with Rainbow Six Siege, they've just stuck with it. You know, in Division, Rainbow Six Siege, they're not coming out with another one of those anytime soon, but they're clearly making the Division 2, they've already said, which makes sense. You probably want to hit the reset button, maybe include some of this stuff that they eventually found success with in the first one when the second one comes out. Hopefully they can capitalize on the missteps that Bungie have made, and hopefully they can come out with the Division 2 and say, like, alright, all that stuff we learned from the first one, we fixed it all in 2, because we fixed it in 1, and it has a bunch of cool stuff in it. So, you want to play Division, just pick up the second one.
So basically, don't Destiny 2 it.
Right. That's just a blanket suggestion for everyone.
But, I mean, this further makes me think, you know what, I think Ubisoft are the best publishers and developers right now. I don't think anyone's got a handle on the way things are operating the way that Ubisoft have. You know,
for me, it's between like Ubisoft and Devolver Digital, like AAA and then indie powerhouse.
Yeah. You are looking at that. You've just named, in my opinion, the two best publishers / developers. Yeah. Because on the AAA level, Ubisoft are knocking it out the park every single time, whether you like their games or not. Yeah, they are knocking it out the park, and Devolver Digital are doing the exact same thing, but for the indie games.
Yep.
Like, name another AAA developer who's doing things on the level that they are, and name another indie publisher who is as good as what they do as Devolver is.
Yep.
Like, it just doesn't exist. Like,
yeah, I mean, other than, you know, personal feelings. Because obviously you and I are biased towards Ubisoft games because we enjoy Ubisoft games.
Yeah.
But especially when you look at, you know, there have been missteps, of course. Far Cry 5 is a recent misstep. For Honor is a very large misstep of theirs in the last couple of years. But other than that, they've been fairly consistent. And a lot of other companies can't really say that.
I mean, just look at the fact that they don't let their games go to die.
Yeah.
Like,
they're still working on For Honor. For Honor's dead. Yeah. Like, they're still trying.
Say what you want about The Crew. Like, say what you want about The Crew. They still released the full season pass worth of content for that game.
Yep.
And still support it, even though they've already announced The Crew 2.
Yeah.
Like, good on them. They're doing their fans good. I mean, not even to talk about the incredible things they're doing with Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah, like, what a game, man.
How that game has gone from the laughing stock of the industry on release, basically, to, in my opinion, one of the best first-person shooting games out there right now, bar none.
Not to mention the incredible amount of content in there.
Yeah, exactly. Like, good on them. Like, congratulations, Ubisoft. You have stolen my heart away from... well, from EA, basically, because
that was pretty easy, though.
They've broken my heart too much over the past couple of years.
You did this yourselves, EA.
Yep. But yeah, that's all I've been playing.
I want to talk about Marvel Puzzle Quest for like a minute, because I didn't realize it until I fired up the game today. Today is my 365th, my 356th, my 1 year.
1 year.
Celebration. So I get, over the next couple of days, I get a couple of covers for Devil Dinosaur, which is really great that I just saved up enough tokens to get a new... It's funny because every time I save up enough tokens to get a new slot, my roster queue is completely empty. And I'm thinking, all right, I can finally spend one of my 43 legendary tokens to pull someone. And like the day that I save up enough, I either get a reward from, you know, the backlog, or a 3-star character gives me a 4-star one, or something where I'm like, okay, I'll save up another 1,000 hero points and see what happens then.
I have 2 4-stars in my queue. I've got 1,800 points, I need to just save up that little bit more.
Yeah,
and
just
I can get
200
4
more.
stars recruited.
Who are your 2 4-stars?
Black Widow, the new one with the blonde
hair one.
Yes, and I can't even remember who the other one is. It's someone who's from like the old backlog. Who?
Oh, okay.
Like
Quake, maybe.
No, I've already got Quake. Quake's badass. I've been watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Quake is badass.
Oh, no, I didn't even know she was in that. I gotta watch that. Anyway, I picked up a new Kairosoft game.
Oh no!
I have felt like maybe it had been long enough since the last one, so I went on the Kairosoft Reddit subreddit, and they had their voting for Kairosoft Game of the Year 2017, which had 5 games in it, if that tells you how many games they put out regularly.
They have the formula, they just stick a new palette on it, but the formula works. It really does.
Yeah, I feel like there's sort of scuttlebutt that maybe the formula isn't working for them anymore because they released... There's sort of some drama around Kairosoft right now.
Wow.
Because they've been releasing just a metric ton of games on both the Apple Store and the Google Store. They also recently released this app called Kairoland, and it's basically a hub for all of their games. And what you can do it's sort of like you have your room and you have an avatar and all that sort of stuff around the edges. But you also have one area that you can launch the majority of the games from that app. And if you want to play multiples of them, you can have like a monthly subscription where you can kind of play all of them at the same time. It's certainly not worth it because each game is like $5. The big problem is there are exclusive games in the Kairoland app, which is fine, but there are also the majority of their back catalog. But they have not tied that back catalog to your current Apple purchases. I'm assuming the same thing is...
So you have to purchase it twice if you pick it from the live Kairoland app. Okay,
but there doesn't...
Rookies...
Yeah, but there also doesn't seem to be a benefit for having them in the Kairoland app. So, like, it's this weird thing where it's like, if you're just starting out to play their games, you probably want to download this and just do that, because the scuttlebutt is that Apple is locking down on one publisher putting out games that are the same formula over and over and over again, and putting out too many similar games, which is Kairosoft, basically to a T.
But it is Kairosoft, but let's be frank here, it's also pretty much any mobile developer.
100%.
How many different versions of Candy Crush have you seen? How many? Yeah. How much is Age of War and the stupid Arnold Schwarzenegger
Year of War and War of Ages?
Yes.
Yeah. And I absolutely respect both Kairosoft and Apple. Like, you don't want 500 apps that are all the same thing. And Kairosoft is really guilty of game dev story. Every game that's like that is exactly like that. Some of the sprites are different and like the category names are different, but they play and they look exactly the same. So I understand where Apple's coming from. But like you said, that's a real rookie move. Like, maybe Apple doesn't allow for the functionality of your app to check your other app's purchases. I would understand why they would restrict that. Then don't do that. Like, don't put the Kairoland app out and say like, well, you can have all these apps in here that you need to buy again for $5 a pop.
But that could also be a risk reward thing where they're thinking anybody who already owns them is going to know that, and then we might, anger 10% of the audience who actually download the Land app, who already own it, and then realize that they might have to purchase it again to use it that way. But at the same time, how much exposure is that getting for the old games for new people who haven't had experience with them? So that's probably a bar graph on a spreadsheet that an accountant has looked at and said, no, we do it because even with this negative downslide, we've got this positive upslide potential.
Right.
So,
and there's a lot of stuff that's sort of BS-y with it, where like when you go to sign up for a Kairoland app, it opens a web page that's all in Japanese that you can't switch to the English version of, which is fine because I know what the Google icon is and I can click that and like log in with my Google account. But
Yeah.
it's stuff like that where it's like, you need to spend a little bit more time if you're going to make this unifying app, because on the surface it's not bad, but just your implementation is pretty much the laziest thing you've ever done.
Yeah.
So I bought an app that isn't in Cairoland because it was the Kairosoft's subreddit's game of the year, which is called Shiny Ski Resort. And this is interesting because it's not... I've had problems with the last couple of Kairosoft apps. I thought Grand Prix Story 2 was a real miss for them because of their in-app purchases and energy requirements. They do the thing where it's like one race takes 10 energy and you get 30 energy a day. To me, that's sort of antithetical to what I am coming to a Kairosoft game for. Shiny Ski Story is Shiny Ski Resort is $5. It doesn't have any in-app purchases. You can buy for stuff. You can pay for stuff in the game with real money, but the game very clearly says like, you can get this later just by playing, or you can get it by spending $2. So I'm just gonna go play because I spent the $5 on it. And it's kind of a combination of some of their... They've had some stuff, some games out like Beastie Bay where you're building a city. This takes it a little bit smaller where you're building a ski resort. You're laying down, lockers for people to use and hotel rooms and stores and restaurants and stuff like that. And then you're also building your ski slopes on the outside, and what sort of trick areas are in there, and where the little ski lifts go and what people do on the way down, all that stuff. Both of those work pretty well. And then on top of that, they have competitions you can enter for sort of downhill skiing. So it's interesting because on the surface it's... Go ahead.
The competitions, are the competitions more you control a downhill skier, or is it more you choose a skier to do it and they do it themselves?
It's sort of in between. It's sort of in between the two. It reminds me a lot of Grand Prix Story, which is one of my favorite Kairosoft games. In that game, you sort of build up a racer and like improve your race car, and then they just kind of race based on your stats. This one is very similar. You're equipping all this gear and leveling up skis and sleds and all this equipment, and then when you're on the slope, they perform based on their stats, but then you can sort of hit a button and have them boost, or you have a couple of items you can use. It's not direct control, but it's a little bit more than just like, I hope they win, pew, that sort of thing.
Oh, so it's like playing Mario Kart.
Yeah, sort of.
Sorry. Baby game joke. Sorry.
Yeah.
I love Mario Kart, for the record. Don't hate me. I love that game.
And I like baby mode in Mario Kart. I 2 thumbs up for that. But on the surface, it sounds like they're trying to do too many things, sort of like that pirate game I played that was not very good.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they pulled back a little bit on pretty much all of these things. And with that, I feel like it's a really great game. I've been playing it as I'm laying in bed. Like, everybody else is asleep, and I'm just spending, an hour a night playing this because I just want to relax for a little bit. And Shiny Ski Resort is really good for that, and they've streamlined a lot of the, you got a new sponsor, and they introduce you to this research stuff, and here's all the stuff you need to research, and all of that stuff is really laid out very well, instead of just sort of dumping you in a game and saying, like, okay, well, you figure it out. Good luck. It's going to take you a couple of runs through this game to figure out how to do stuff correctly. They streamlined a lot of that stuff, so far, seems really great. I've probably put maybe 5 hours into it over the week. It's not one of those things where I'm going to be sitting down and playing a ton every day, but it's nice and relaxing. I think that's what I really wanted. I played more Yakuza 6, just a little bit, mostly because of my last game. I am on chapter 3 right now. I have moved from the main city that Yakuza takes place into a sort of a subdivision of Hiroshima. It took a bit of a detour across the great nation of Japan with the kid from the game, the 1-year-old kid from the game in his arms, which so far has been really great. I'm really enjoying it. I'm not quite invested in the story yet, but I think that's just because it's getting underway.
Yeah.
I spent a bunch of time in Chapter 1. This would be my recommendation for anyone looking to play it. Spend a bunch of time in Chapter 1 doing as much side stuff as you want. Kind of do a little bit here and there. Because I feel like I'm almost a little over-leveled for some of the stuff I'm running into right now, which is good. Because that means I'm not running up in a... The Yakuza games don't really seem to do this, but I'm not really running into any impossible fights. Which is good. I can just sort of... This dude insulted me, take him out back, sort of beat him up for a little bit, and then kind of keep moving on with the story. So far, really good. Really good looking. Really... oh, God.
I was just going to say, what's the most ridiculous thing you've seen so far?
One of the most ridiculous things I've seen so far has been... Nothing too crazy yet. There's this app that gets installed on your phone called Troubler, but of course the E on the end is dropped.
Yeah.
And it's basically, it will ring when someone around town is in trouble and needs Kiryu to help them. I guess now there's two things. I was playing and this one guy says like, "Help, please, I'm getting bullied, if you can come help me." I go help him, and right next to it is a side story where this woman dumps her boyfriend because the boyfriend accidentally got into sort of a cheating relationship on this text app, like this chat service.
Okay.
And he said, "Well, why don't you come, you're not great using a computer, why don't you come with me to the chat place and I'll show you how to use it." I was like, okay, well, that sounds interesting. You go through this little side quest and he shows you how to use a computer, which was as funny as it sounds. And then the game says, well, now you can use the chat service, so you can go do that whenever you want. So I said, well, I'm here. Why don't I go do it? And you load up the fake web page. You buy credits so you can talk to the lovely ladies. Oh. And it starts, and it's this pretty lady and a chat window on the side, which is really great. The names of the fake chatters are really, really great. And then at the bottom will appear a timer, and then a set of button presses so you can type. And of course he's doing the hunting and pecking, the tap, 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 tap.
Of course.
And you're pressing the face buttons to type out your message. And it starts out fairly innocently, and then...
Does it get really nasty?
Fairly quickly, she's down to like a bikini with a lot of underboob, and I'm sort of like, I don't know how much further this is going to go.
Maybe not the dad game you wanted right now.
No, because both my wife and my kid were in the room with me. And I was just like, And then, like, at some point, you give her a massage. And this is all video chat.
Okay, I know where that one goes to.
Yeah. And the very suggestive noises that are coming out, I was sort of like, yeah, maybe I'm not ever going to do this again.
Please tell me the noises came out of the microphone on the controller, because that was perfect.
I had headphones plugged in, thankfully. I don't know if you can do stuff out of the speaker on the controller. A lot of games don't do that anymore.
That would have been so good, though.
Yeah, that would have been really great. But then, of course, I noticed there was a trophy for talking to both of the ladies, so I talked to the other lady.
Talked to both.
Yeah. So we'll be going back and doing that. But the one thing I did like about that was I really loved every time you pushed a face button on the controller, he typed one key. So it felt really great where you're like tip, 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 tip. And it felt really great that the right moment when you pushed it, he pushed a button and made that perfect, like, mechanical keyboard click.
Yeah.
It was really great, and because there have been instances of that in the other games, but they were very clearly, I'm going to go into an adult video store and I'm going to watch a movie. All right, yes. I understand what I'm getting into. But this was sort of like...
When you go into... Come on, but it's 2018, dude. If you're going onto a chat service on a computer, you know what you're getting into.
I probably should have, but my naivete is showing through. The other one was when I used the Troubler app for the second time, they said, please help, this woman is on top of this building and she needs help. And I was like, okay. So I race over there and I go look, and a woman is hanging off of the edge of the batting cages building. And she said, help, I'm going to fall. And 2 minutes shows up on the screen. I was like, what am I doing in this game?
Really?
Thankfully, I ran up to her the very first time on the roof, and I overshot it and fell off the roof and got a trophy for jumping off of somewhere that was really difficult, that was really too high, which was great. So I had to, like, run back.
That's my favorite kind of trophy and achievement, by the way, is I did this by accident and it popped. It's, like, great.
And the name of the trophy was, like, that wasn't very smart or something like that. It was like, you jumped off something that was too high. Because he very much, like, did a shoulder roll and just landed on his back, and he was like, but then I'd, like, run through the building, beat up a bunch of dudes in the back, and then get up to the top of the building, and then she's like, oh, thanks, I really appreciate it. And then you just leave her on the roof. It's like, okay, maybe you want to bring her back down, because this problem might happen again.
Why was she on the edge?
Great question. Yeah. So I feel like I haven't truly run into the really crazy stuff. I'm pushing through most of the story to get to chapter 5, so I can get to the clan creator stuff. That seemed to be one of the real draws.
Yeah. It's you, it's me, it's the Peace Walker thing. Yes, let's just do it 100%. Put that in every game.
Yep. Yeah. So far, really great. I still really like the leveling up system. Fighting still feels really great. I like being able to unlock a bunch of skills early just by grinding a little bit that I really like due to my fighting style. Like, I fight really aggressive in these games, so I get knocked down a lot. And one of the first skills I unlocked was the ability to do a leg sweep and sort of pop back up after you get knocked over just by hitting triangle. As opposed to, like, you're laying on ground and they're sort of kicking you, or they might be throwing something. You can hit the ground, hit triangle, flip out of it, and then get back to fighting. And that was a little bit more expensive, but I can just do stuff around town to get the experience to get that, to make my life a little bit easier. As opposed to, you got to train with this dude, and then you got to go do this, which was a fine system, but it didn't work out for how aggressive I normally want to fight. But so far so good. I want to find more time to play it, but I haven't, because I spent more time this week than I was really expecting to with Destiny 2 Warmind.
Yeah, come on, tell me how I should buy the season pass and how I need to play all the DLC.
We'll get to that. But I have a lot of stuff to talk about with Destiny 2, so strap in, or I guess skip, maybe. Maybe don't skip.
Yes.
I really like what they did with Mars for the DLC. It's a lot of it is icy.
Okay, that's kind of a cool touch.
Yeah, so it's not like Mars in the first one, where it was all just orange dust as far as you can see, and it's sort of taking over, the Bray facilities all across the planet. You get to see it's not the same area at all. I feel like it's a little bit smaller than Mars in the first game, but it has more interesting stuff to do in it, and I think as opposed to it being larger, it's deeper. There are a bunch of buildings and caves and stuff you can go into. Thankfully, it is much larger than Mercury was in the first DLC. Mercury was, not to be mean, but hilariously small. It was a ring, and that was it.
Okay. Not inspiring me wanting to play this DLC.
No. I think the first DLC is very much a skip. And part of what I was excited about with Warmind is getting to know more about the Bray family, who featured heavily in the lore of the first game, sort of as the people who had terraformed Mars and had advanced technology fairly significantly in the Golden Age in Destiny, which was where they don't touch in the Golden Age as much as in Destiny 2, but in Destiny 1 was like where humanity advanced leaps and bounds every year, year upon year, and that's where we got the exos, the robot people, and space travel, and FTL, and all the
Isn't that
cool
where
stuff.
Warminds came from as well?
Yes, which is obviously, because this one's called Warmind, is very heavily focused on Rasputin. Sort of disappointingly, because I was hoping we would get... I like the Warminds in Destiny a lot. I think the lore behind them is really interesting, but this one focuses on Rasputin again, which is a big focal point in Destiny 1 of, especially on the last DLC. I don't remember what it's called, but there was like at least 1.5 DLC packs for the first game that focused on Rasputin, including the vanilla storyline. What you find out very early on, not a spoiler, in Warmind, is that Rasputin was actually on Mars. The stuff you're running into on Earth was just like an outpost for Rasputin, which feels a little bit like retconning.
Yeah, it's not a little bit like retconning. Come on, dude, that is 100% a retcon.
Yeah, which is fine. Like, you're going to have to retcon a little bit of the stuff in Destiny 1, I think, to expand the Destiny universe. Especially since the writing team between Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 is, I think, completely different. So they're gonna want to take it a little bit of a different avenue. It disappoints me, though, because Rasputin in Destiny 1 was a character. He spoke Russian to you. He loved classical music. He had this stronghold, and you were helping him a number of times. He had a strike that dealt with helping him from the Fallen trying to hack him. One of my favorite ones. He doesn't really have that much character in the second one, which is a bit of a disappointment, but you do get to hang out with Anna Bray, who is one of the Bray descendants that's coming back to find out more about her family and their legacy and why Mars sort of got eaten up by the sand and the snow. She's a really great character. I feel like Destiny has a problem with making Guardians that are sort of too cool for school, and they're almost like action movie stereotypes. And
like Nathan Fillion's Guardian character.
I don't even want to get into Cade, because that's sort of like a whole nother problem. I'm specifically thinking of Lance Reddick's character Zavala, the Titan guy, the blue face one.
No, Zavala's amazing.
Zavala has a problem of... I feel like... So there's this term in TV called Flanderization, which is basically... Ned Flanders in The Simpsons getting more and more focused on who his character is to being like one or two traits as opposed to the character he started out with. If you want to look for a more contemporary example of that, you can look at Stewie from Family Guy, where it's, he was a kid that talks, and now he's like funneling down into...
Who's obsessed with his mother.
Right, and like could maybe be gay, but maybe not. Like it's focused on one or two. Same thing happened with Brian in Family Guy. He's like, he has two features. I feel like that's happened with Zavala in Destiny. He's instead of him being, the stalwart guardian of the Titans, he's sort of this stick in the mud that Cade likes to pick on.
Yeah, I think he comes across as like, essentially he comes down to his one trait is he is 100% lawful good.
Yeah, he is the serious lawful
rules.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think Destiny 2's Warmind expansion is my breaking point for that stuff. And Anna Bray is really great. She's very positive. She's really great. I was going to say great to talk to, but that's a separate issue. She has a lot of cool stuff to say. Her voice actor is really great. She's very bubbly and positive, which is not a character we've gotten in Destiny before from any female characters. The male characters, you get Cade, and it's all just Nathan Fillion, I'm a robot.
Cade's not bubbly and positive. Cade is rambunctious and arrogant.
He's just the Nathan Fillion character with a chicken.
Yeah, he is the guy from Uncharted. He's Drake.
Right. The closest we've gotten for the women has been Amanda Holliday, the lady that runs the mechanic for all the ships and the sparrows. One of my personal favorite characters, just because she has a cool backstory. I like that they wrote somebody who's more positive and has more of a can-do attitude. It's the polar opposite of Eris Morn from the first one, where it's, someone who's listening to The Cure 24/7. You have somebody who's a little bit more fun. I like The Cure, just for anyone who's out there. My favorite band is Nine Inch Nails. I know who I am.
You like your dark stuff too.
I do, yeah. I think number one, I have hit my limit for the mute Destiny main character.
To be honest, I've hit my limit on that. Period. Not Destiny. Period.
Yeah, I'm okay with that in some RPGs, especially some JRPGs, because I feel like they still do it well enough. I feel like your Guardian in Destiny is so central to the story, which is a positive and negative for both Destiny 2 and Warmind, that there were a handful of lines that your Guardian said in Destiny 1. And I liked it. It was a lot of you called the ghost Little Light, or you said yeah, let's go do this. But so much of it in Destiny 2 is sort of you want to push the ghost away and say okay, let me have a friggin' word in edgewise. Ghost is not your character. Your Guardian is your character, and I feel like there were so many scenes in Warmind that were your character and the ghost talking to Anna Bray that I have to say something. My character has to say something. I play as a woman. She can have a woman's voice. I don't have to pick it like you didn't pick it in Destiny 1. Just say something. Please.
Far Cry 5, you play as a silent protagonist.
Yeah. It's not great.
No. I'm done with silent protagonists. The more people talk, the better. Yeah.
So it's sort of, you have the positive of Anna Bray being really interesting, and she's smart, and she's a go-getter, and it's a cool character. And then I just want my Guardian to say just sneeze. Anything at this point. Just say something. I feel like the ghost is better written in this one. Less sort of snarky jokey, and a little bit more straightforward, a little bit more here's what we're doing, here's what is happening.
Yeah.
As someone who likes the lore of Destiny, don't at me.
You hold on. All this talk of lore, and you like the lore of Destiny? I never would have known.
I know, it's crazy. There's a huge misstep they made in Warmind. And that is, and I think this is a big problem. They haven't figured out, they didn't do this in Destiny 1, and they didn't figure out how to fix this in Destiny 2. In between the second mission and the third mission, basically you do 2 back-to-back missions on Mars, and you do a mission on Earth, and then 2 more missions on Mars, and the DLC is over. If you want to know how long it is, it's about 3 or 4 hours. And we'll get to that in a minute. Anna Bray, when you go back to her and you pick, basically, here are 3 guns, and I'm going to talk to you while you pick out your guns. The 3 or 4 sentences she says there are so incredibly important for what you're going to do next. I cannot believe they didn't put it in a cutscene. Because if you don't listen to or read that text that they show on screen, next thing you know, you're getting a shard to summon a worm god, when that is absolutely not what you were just doing. Like, you were just like waking up Rasputin to go take care of him, and now I'm waking a hive worm god. Wait, what? Why? For reasons that still aren't entirely positive. But, like, that's a misstep. When you get to Rasputin, you open the doors of Rasputin, and what Anna is telling you time and time again through your first 2 missions is, this is a secret mission. We're not going to tell the Vanguard, we're not going to tell any other Guardians, because I don't think they're going to like us waking up Rasputin. When you open the doors of Rasputin, like at the end of the 2nd mission, Zavala is in there! What the hell?
Okay.
And he's just like, hands on his hips, basically like, I can't believe... Imagine this being Lance Reddick's cool voice. I can't believe you would do this. And then it's basically the 3 of you figuring out how to do the rest of this. And one of my bigger problems with the DLC is Zavala is coming down on you really hard. But this takes place after you've saved the universe in vanilla Destiny 2, and he's sort of like, I can't believe you would betray my trust again. It's like, look, bro, I have saved the universe across, 6 DLC packs and 2 vanilla campaigns. I'm pretty sure I have this. The game needs to stop in the storyline kind of doubting you, because it's frustrating as someone who's spent now hundreds of hours across 2 games with the same Guardian. It's really frustrating to have the Vanguard come in and be like, okay, I mean, I guess we'll send the person that keeps saving the universe, but they're not going to be able to do it. It's like, come...
Yeah, you've been a naughty boy. Right,
like, at least have a little bit of faith. And then, as I've said, since I enjoy the lore, I'm really disappointed by the back end of this DLC, because it has to do with Nokris, a high-ranking Hive priest, and Zol, one of their... The thing about the Hive and the lore is they always make these deals that seem symbiotic, but clearly aren't, with old, like very, very old worm gods. And one of the biggest ones is featured in this DLC, and you just kind of kill it. And then that's it. Like, there's no real... This is a very, very important figure in the Destiny universe, and you just kind of shoot it with, like, a cyber spear for a bunch of times, and it dies. Like, that... It seems like such a missed opportunity when that could have been a cool raid boss, like how they did with the Taken King in Destiny 1. Like, you have such a cool character that you've built up over these 2 games... and then you just...
rather than just waste them.
Yeah, like, you fight in, like, a 320 light level mission. Like, it's just sort of like... And... that stuff is just kind of a little disappointing. Warmind was short. Like I said, it's... I feel like there needs to be something that changes with the perception of these pieces of DLC. Because... both of the pieces of DLC for Destiny 2 have been $20 and around 3 to 4 hours if you're sort of slow playing it like I am. If you're not, maybe 2 hours on the lower end. I feel like the Curse of Osiris, the first one, dropped the ball on this, and I feel like Vicarious Visions, who developed this one, this was not a Bungie DLC, to be clear. Vicarious Visions did a really great job of doing the stuff that I liked that Destiny 1 DLC did, which was, had a fairly good couple of missions that then unlocks a whole new, exploration area with a ton of secrets in it, a ton of exotic quests, a bunch of stuff to do in there. So you sort of get through a nice campaign, and then it unlocks all the rest of the stuff. Warmind has done that, but I feel like I think there's a misconception from both Bungie's marketing and what we expect out of a piece of DLC. Because Bungie needs to get better about saying, for this $20, you get a campaign, but wait, you're not done. You also get all this other stuff that unlocks when you finish the campaign. I feel like when people review it or people talk about it, they blow through it in 2 or 3 hours, and then they're like, wait, that was $20? That sucks. Like, what the hell? And that's not unfair, because that's what Bungie has sold us. They've sold us a $20 3-hour campaign. But then you look at all the other stuff that the campaign has on Mars, and you say, okay, well, there are longer chases for me to do that I just get started with when I finish the campaign. And I feel like we as fans aren't wrong saying maybe $20 is too much for this, for the perceived amount of content. But you gotta tell me, like, don't show me like they used to do. Here are all the armor sets. Here are all the weapons. Here's all the exotics. It comes out in 2 weeks. That doesn't work either, but like, I feel like Bungie needs to do a better job of setting expectations where it's like, look, you got a shorter campaign, but it's got cutscenes, it's got characters you love, and it's going to be really cool. After that, we're going to give you the chase stuff to do. Because like, they even have the thing that Taken King did really well is they had those calcified fragments all over the ship, where you collect X number of them, you get an exotic weapon that you then build in the raid, and you make it, and it's really cool. Yeah. They have that in here. They have 45 little very hidden data nodes that you sort of have to shoot and find and do some puzzles around. That's really great. And now that it's out, I sort of wish that now it's been a couple of days, they would start talking about some of that stuff, but it's a tough juggling act between how much do we want to show up front and how much do we want to just let people discover.
Yeah, I mean, it's... But to be honest, though, you'd think... Let's face it, Bungie, Activision, neither of these people are new to the game.
No.
Like, Activision's one of the oldest companies out there, I believe, right now.
One of the oldest publishers still in business, I think.
And Bungie have been doing this since what, Halo 1?
God, no, even before that, because they had like Myth that I loved playing. Yeah, like even their first-person shooter that I can't remember, the Marathon. Even before that, so they've been in business for now 25 years, maybe. I'll look it up while we're talking.
But is this a case of these people are not doing their jobs right, or is this a case of these people are not adapting with the new rule changes of modern day society? Right. They started in 1991.
So 26 years.
Yeah.
Well,
that's a long time.
I feel like one of their biggest problems right now is I feel like they are genuinely trying to, because they have gotten raked over the coals with Destiny 2, rightly. They're genuinely trying to fix the company's attitude. And their attitude since day one and since up until a couple of months ago has been, well, we made the game, we know what you want, so we're just going to tell you and give it to you. And that doesn't work anymore in games, but it especially doesn't work when you, like I've said, I will say until the day I die, Destiny 1 eventually got it right, and then they just washed all that away for Destiny 2 and gave you less stuff than the base level quality of life you expect out of Destiny 2. Recently, they actually invited a whole bunch of streamers and YouTubers that are big in the Destiny community. You know, all these people that have stopped playing Destiny and have started playing Monster Hunter World.
Really?
That pendulum swung hard the other way because they were like, well, Destiny 2, I can't make content out of. Monster Hunter World is really good, and I can make content out of that. Some people have also moved to Fortnite and PUBG just because they're big. But Monster Hunter World has been really big for a little bit. They invited them up to Bungie to say, like, you just need to, like, cut us open and tell us what we're doing wrong. And then you can go on your YouTube and Twitch channels and you can just talk about it. I feel like that's a huge step in the right direction for Bungie saying, we screwed up. Destiny 2 was a misstep. We did it wrong again, and it's not even inexperience. But Destiny 1 was sort of like, all right, it's a new thing for you guys. We'll get there eventually. Destiny 2 does not have that luxury.
But pulling these people, what's the word? These hashtag influencers in to get their feedback. Okay, that's fine. You're asking for suggestions from people who are going to be repeatedly playing your game. I get that. These are also companies that have the infrastructure to take down every single comment that's ever been posted on one of their videos, stick it in a spreadsheet automatically, and have a word bubble pop up. And then size the words according to the frequency they used, erase the top 20 because they're all going to be
erase all the ones that just say bad game.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, get rid of the common swear words that you will see on every single post. And then look at that word board and you tell me what you've done wrong. Don't ask 10, 15, 30 people what you've done wrong. Ask the community at large.
Well, I feel like the other side of that coin is they genuinely have, and the community team that they have right now, it's Deej and Cosmo and DMG04. Those are like the three top people that are sort of interacting with the community. They've done a lot of really great stuff lately, especially the development roadmap, which was so sorely needed. They've done really great stuff. They've done two really great things, I feel, with updates. One is a development roadmap, and they've put out, all right, March we're doing this, April we're doing this, May we're doing this. If stuff moves, which it's going to, in their update, they'll say, all right, here's the new development roadmap, here is why things moved, and here's the approximate time frame when we're going to deliver it. Great!
I never thought I'd say this, but Nicholas needs to take a hint from Bungie.
Yeah. Yes. But what's really great is they'll say, let's talk about mods 2.0. They said, all right, when we came out with Destiny, the mod system is useless. It's all it does is give you +5 light on a weapon, and we wanted to make it, we want to get to the point where you can customize your guns in meaningful ways. That's what's going to be mod 2.0. It keeps scooting back a little bit because they keep saying, all right, it's a bigger project than we thought, and then it's a way bigger project than we thought because we're just going to redo the entire mod system, throw out what we had before, and make a brand new one. And here are sort of the high points of what we're trying to do. Great. That's really great. And the other thing that they've done is in patch notes, thank God they started putting numbers where it's like increase the damage for aim down sights on auto rifles by 20%.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's all we need. So I feel like they're getting there, but it's taking a while. And it's not time that they can afford.
No, definitely not. I mean, I didn't realize it, but it sounds like Monster Hunter kind of stole their lunch from them.
Yep.
Good for Capcom. Great for Monster
great for
Hunter.
Capcom. Yeah. The one more thing I want to talk about in Warmind before I move to the other stuff is they have a new mode in there called Escalation Protocol. It is a wave-based horde mode. It's really good.
Okay.
Basically what happens are there's these big like vents around that once you finish the campaign, you can just interact with them. You don't need anything. It raises this giant pole that pretty much everybody in the area can see. It sends out a message to everyone in the zone that says, escalation protocol is starting. Let's get on over here. And anybody can hop in. It reminds me a lot of, Court of Oryx that they had in Destiny 1 in the Taken King. Which is sort of like, you can go by this area, and if something's happening, you can just hop right in and start the fight. It's really hard. And that is probably one of the biggest compliments I can give them on this DLC. Once you finish the DLC, I think the level cap is like 380. I'm 342, I think. There are enemies in the second wave of Escalation Protocol that are skulls to me. That are going to like
nice.
one-shot me. And it's 7 waves. So...
Okay.
I also can't do the Heroic Strikes playlist. It's too hard for me right now. And that's really great because that means that I have a reason to go in there and like get my weekly engrams and slowly level up my character and buff the weapons that I like using so I can go do this stuff to go do more stuff. As opposed to like, well, I played it for the weekend and I saw all the content. So, yay. The other half of Destiny 2 is going to be my recommendation. If you own Destiny 2, I would recommend trying to come back to it right now. If you don't have the season pass, that's fine. You don't need to buy it. What they've done is there's a base level of content for everyone that owns Destiny 2. All the PvP maps, all the PvP modes except for private matches, and all the improvements that they're making go out to everybody that has Destiny 2, regardless if they have the newest expansion pack. Plus, you don't have to have expansion pack 1 to play the second one either, which is great.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, like these are really great improvements. Thank you. They did a lot of work to PvP. And the majority of what I've been playing has actually been PvP because between the quick play playlist and the competitive playlist, there are 2 ranks there. Part of the reason why I started playing it is on the competitive ranking system, if you get up to rank 3, you start at 0, you get a gun that is exclusive to that playlist only for Season 3. And it is ridiculously strong.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, like, and that's what I really like is they've put so many more of these chases in. That's all that I want. I want you to say, like, I got a one of the other things I like is they did more they do these catalysts for a bunch of exotic weapons. And basically, you'll have this extra slot if the exotic can be upgraded, and it'll say something like can be obtained by victories in Crucible. So, randomly, if you win in Crucible, an ornament will drop for this weapon, and you slot it in the weapon, and it turns into a catalyst that if you fulfill the requirements for that weapon, it then gets stronger in some way. So, like, one of the sniper rifles I have, Darcy, I got as a... it stands for something. I got the catalyst, and I slotted it in, and it said, okay, cool. If you kill, like, 250 enemies in the world with headshots with this weapon, I gain 30 stability. So
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and like I think stability is out of 100, like all the stats are out of 100, so it almost maxes out stability. So if you really like this weapon, you can use it to get it to make your favorite weapon even better.
Yeah.
And between the PvP ranking stuff, the PvE ranking stuff, which as you rank up with Zavala just by doing like strikes and stuff throughout the season, you get better and better rewards. There's one reward at the end that looks really great for rank 50. There's a ship. The quick play playlist for PvP, you can prestige in that. You get rewards for you don't get anything over 2 prestiges, but there is a cool looking reward for that one. It's like a exotic ghost.
It sounds to me like they've give you a bunch of bars to fill.
Yeah, and like that's been Destiny 2's problem. Destiny 1 did that really well. That's why I played it so much, because you had your daily and weekly quests, and you had, you're ranking up your factions so you can get all this gear from them. And the thing with Destiny 2 is it's still fun to play. PvP is good, and it's getting better. I'm glad they're putting more 6v6 in there, because it feels much better. The Go Fast update, which is the big one that happened before Warmind, makes the game feel so much better, because Go Fast is really the best word for it. Your characters move faster, you move faster in supers, your skills and your supers recharge faster, especially in PvP. You get more heavy ammo more regularly. It speeds the whole game up in the way that you really wanted it to. Yeah. And between that and the game still playing really well, and you have all these chases, you have all these weapons to upgrade and armor to upgrade, and you can upgrade all your weapons and your armor to masterwork items, which just make them a little bit stronger. I feel like they're giving you more reasons to play the game, at the very least, every week. And I feel like in the short term, that's probably going to be me, all right, it's Tuesday. I'm going to play it a little bit every day. I'm going to go do my public quests today and get my engram and level something up. And I'm going to go do my PvP this other day, and I'm going to go rank up a little bit, and I'm going to do some stuff. That's really what Destiny 2 needed, and I think it's the smartest move they made in Destiny 2 by giving everybody that stuff.
Yeah.
So if you own vanilla Destiny 2, you have the masterwork stuff and the exotic upgrades. I haven't even talked about how they changed every single exotic in the game to now not be bad. Because before they were genuinely pretty bad. They have touched and improved every single one of them. In the case of Rat King, they improved it too much, so you can't use it right now until they fix it, because it was sort of allowing you to get infinite ammo. But I feel like they've done the right thing in Destiny 2 for once. I honestly completely agree and understand if someone is hearing me talk about this and saying, I'm not going back to Destiny 2. I feel you. Like, it's once bitten, twice shy, twice for Destiny. Yep. And for me, the only reason I came back to this was I hadn't played the Go Fast update, and I already have the DLC, because I bought the limited edition, season whatever, pass that came with the season pass. So I checked it out. I'm pretty happy with how they've done it, and I'm really happy with the upgrades. I just feel like this fall update they're going to have, it's another codename Comet, like Taken King was for Destiny 1, is really their last shot. Because if they don't come out swinging like they did with Taken King and improve every facet of the game and give everyone that tried Destiny 2 a reason to come back and play, I don't know where the hell they're going to go.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you save Destiny 2 after that point, because it's still not in a great spot. It's just like, if you own Destiny 2, you already own these upgrades, so why not give it a shot if you have a little bit of time? It's just, they need to do something, and they need to do it fast, because their update schedule so far has been too slow. And you take a look at something like, these are in ways much less complex games, but if you look at people's expectations of something like PUBG, and then those expectations are beat with Fortnite is coming out with an incredible amount of content seemingly every week, and bug fixes, and the season 4 for them just changed where they crashed an asteroid into the map, and it's totally different now. Like, that's the sort of stuff that I feel like we've come to expect from these games as service games, which is a term I still hesitate to use because it's sort of a 4-letter word now.
Yeah.
but you have a giant team like Bungie plus Vicarious Visions plus
and Activision's
plus like the Activision money and publishing side. You can move faster. Like if you've screwed up twice and made a game that's too complex twice, I don't know what to tell you, dude.
Yeah.
Like you made the same mistake twice.
The really sad part is if they've done that twice and it's messed up that bad twice, maybe your grand vision is not something you can execute on. That becomes the scary part.
Well, and like, if it can't be, that's fine. Strip Destiny down. Destiny 2 could have been something that was basically very stripped down, but kept a lot of the great stuff from Destiny 1, as opposed to taking Destiny 1, stripping that down further, throwing out a bunch of stuff that people liked, and then building off of the sub-basement instead of the foundation.
Yep.
They have to get with it. It's I don't want to see Destiny fail as a franchise, because I still genuinely like it, and when you strip it down to its core, Destiny is fun to play.
Yeah.
There's
always been that thing, is that gameplay has always been... Sorry, the mechanics of their play have always been incredible.
Yep.
It's the stuff around it that causes
everything
problems.
else. They just have to get it together. And I feel like they can, because they did it with Destiny 1. You just need to do it with Destiny 2. But time will tell, and I feel like the success of the fall update is going to be really, really, really big. Hopefully positively.
Hopefully.
Yeah. But that's all, quote unquote, all I have to talk about Destiny 2. I said I had a lot. But let's take a break. Let's talk releases for the week of May 14th, 2018. Battle Chasers Night War comes out for the Switch at long last.
Yep. Isn't this a game you love?
Yeah, it was on my top 10 last year. And I haven't read any impressions about performance. I get the impression that a handful of people have gotten some early review copies. But beyond, hey, it runs, I haven't really seen anything. If it runs pretty well on Switch, I'd recommend this pretty heartily. It's a really great, non-Japanese created JRPG.
Yep.
And so,
I have it on disc.
Yeah, because they've been selling it for like $10. Yeah, if you want to pick it up on PS4 or Xbox One.
About it.
Yeah, like a disc of it is $10, and it's only like 20 hours. It's a real good experience.
Yep.
Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey Redux comes out for the 3DS. This is the quasi-remake of Strange Journey that came out for the DS, maybe, a number of years ago. Not a ton of stuff seems to be different on this. I think they just sort of put a new coat of paint on it, put some quality of life stuff out, and said, hey, that game is out of print, so if you want to play it and you missed it, it's on 3DS now. So,
yeah,
that's not bad.
No.
And last but not least, the incredibly divisive Dragon's Crown Pro comes out on PS4. This is
I really want to play it because it's meant gameplay and mechanics wise, it's supposed to be great, but let's say
we used to call it the art content.
Yes,
not the art style.
Nature.
Yeah.
Yes.
I played a lot of this on Vita, and I really, really, really like it. It very much is an old school beat 'em up, but with leveling and multiple paths, and co-op works pretty well, though I only played a little bit of it. If you have the PS3 and the Vita versions, update those, and you can carry your save over to the Pro version.
That's kind of cool.
And Pro will play cross-platform co-op with the PS3 and the Vita versions.
That's also kind of cool.
And it's 4K, 60 frames. I mean, it looks really great. I absolutely understand when people say that they are frustrated or whatever by the art content. I gotcha. It's still weird after I played it for like 50 hours, but I think if you can look past some of that stuff, it's a really cool, fun game. All right, let's move on. News stories. Since we've been recording for like over 2 hours, we're going to sort of blow through some of these. Bad news for Pinball Arcade.
Oh, no.
Oh, so you haven't seen.
No.
Pinball Arcade loses the rights to Bally and Williams tables.
Wait, isn't that like half of their tables?
We'll get to the number here in a minute. It's more than that. So
is it like 90%?
After June 30th, you will no longer be able to buy Bally or Williams pinball tables. You can still use them if you bought them and like re-download them and all that standard stuff. Developer Farsight Studios says that WMS Industries, which holds the rights to both of those pinball trademarks, has decided not to renew the license. That will affect
probably why.
70 tables.
Out of?
I don't know, but 70 is the majority of them.
Yep. I can tell you exactly why this is, because I believe they're currently in talks to do a pinball arcade game for the other developer of pinball, like the huge second name who's not
Stern?
Bally or Williams. Yes, I think it's Stern.
Yeah. I have seen box art for that. Yeah.
Yeah, they're in talks with them, but they wouldn't allow those tables to be on the same game as Williams.
Oh, God.
So they're doing their own game. And if they're doing an exclusivity deal with Stern,
right.
And then what's going to stop this other pinball company from saying, well, they've got an exclusivity deal, I ain't interested in signing anything with you anymore?
Well, and it seems sort of weird that like this company, after a number of years, are just like, yeah, we're not going to license you our licenses anymore. Like, I don't... It doesn't seem like Pinball Arcade has been doing the licenses wrong. It's weird. And it affects a lot of stuff, like, most notably, Medieval Madness.
I'm pretty sure Taxi,
all
of the big names of that game is...
They're leaving.
I want to go out and drop like $200 by the end of next month?
Yeah, that's sort of the problem. Is I recommend, if anyone, I still recommend Pinball Arcade. It's a great game. It will literally be a shell of itself. If you have the means, pick it up and pick up Medieval Madness. That's really the table you need to have out of all of those. But this sucks. Like, there's no two ways about it. This is just a real bummer.
Oh, 70 tables, so it's about 5 tables per season. 5 to 6, more recent ones.
7 seasons. That's like $210 for all 7 seasons.
No, it's not 7 seasons, it's 14 seasons. It's like 5 tables a season. Oh,
on PS4 they have them 2 seasons combined into one, and they've actually gone back and done that because they just announced season 8. So like all the seasons got sort of lumped together. So now there's 7 seasons, but they're double the size they were before. But still, the thing that I don't understand is I would go and buy a lot of these tables if I knew that they would be cross-platform. But I don't really know that, and I haven't gone and looked yet. If they aren't, then like
they are now.
Yeah, then I'm not gonna. If they were, that would, for me, it would say like, all right, I'm gonna do my part. I'm gonna support Farsight and can log in anywhere and get all my tables. But if that's not the case, I'm not gonna spend like for a PC $200 here, and PS4 $200 there. That's just everyone gets screwed as part of this. Like this just sucks.
Yeah,
I like
the only thing I can think of is the exclusivity thing they're trying to get going with Stan. That's the only thing that's changed is that. Yeah,
that's a bummer. So heads up, go buy Medieval Madness if you don't already have it. It's a great table. Next news story here: Nintendo has finally detailed the Nintendo Online service for Switch is launching September 2018. For a single person, it's $20 a year, which seems pretty good. For a family membership, it's like $35 a year for a handful of people. So if you and your friends want to get in on it, you can get a bunch of people in for really cheap.
Yeah, I think it works out like $5 a person.
Yeah, it's crazy cheap. They did announce they're doing that whole, like, there's a bunch of NES games that you can play. They unveiled the first 10. They're kind of all the standard ones. Like,
also all the ones you want to play.
Yeah, like Balloon Fight, Donkey Kong, First Zelda, Mario 1 and 3, Tennis, like all those ones. They have announced, sort of as part of this, Virtual Console is not coming to Switch.
Nope.
That's as disappointing as that sort of sounds, that's probably the right call. They had 3 platforms to get Virtual Console right on, and they didn't. So
yeah,
don't try a 4th time, because I don't think they're gonna do it right.
No, I mean, that name is so tainted at this point. Why bring it back?
Yeah, and I think all people want to do is what they're trying to do with Switch, which is every couple of months we'll rotate out a couple games. You can play an NES game for a couple of hours, and that's probably about what you're looking for.
Pretty much.
You have a lot of Switch games to play. And the last thing they mentioned as part of this that have gotten people all riled up, which you shouldn't, because all the other platforms have this, is cloud save support with the Nintendo Switch Online platform. So Microsoft and Sony do that. So
I think the biggest annoyance for this is, yes, Microsoft and Sony charge for the cloud save support on their Gold and Plus experiences.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is you can also back up Microsoft and Sony's consoles save
100%.
files locally.
Yep. Yeah, like with PS4, you stick a USB stick in there and say copy saves. Xbox One, you just stick any external hard drive in there, basically, and call it a day.
Yep.
I think that is the disappointment, but I feel like for $20 a year, that's a pretty fair price for online support and all these games and cloud support. So I feel like if it was going to be another subscription that was another $50 or $60, that's not great. But for less than like $2 a month, I'm not that upset about it.
Come on, it's Nintendo. It's online. They're gonna do it baby steps at a time because they'll never get it right the first 20 times.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. It's sort of curious to see what they're going to do with this ongoing. I assume that most people are going to buy it just for the online cloud support. I might do it just for that, although I don't have like my Breath of the Wild save. I played that on Wii U, but $20 is okay. That's not a ton of money. Next news story: Steam is going to be putting out a Steam Link app for iOS and Android that will let you stream Steam games to your phone. Very much like a Steam Link.
Have they improved the Wi-Fi?
See, here's the crazy thing. For me, doing Steam Link, when I use it from PC to PC, like I have my laptop downstairs and I'm streaming from my computer upstairs, that's pretty okay. Steam Link wireless is fine, but not really exactly where you want it to be. So I'm number one. It seems like it's going to be free, which is the right price, and I sort of assume it'll be fine.
Eventually.
Yeah, I'm assuming the first launch won't be great. I know on iOS it supports MiFi controllers, the sort of the iOS standard for controllers. So
yeah,
that could potentially be pretty great. I guess especially if you have like an iPad. I will, of course, be downloading this and trying to see what Binding of Isaac looks like on that. I'm assuming there will not be on-screen controls like the iOS version of Binding of Isaac, because that seems like a nightmare.
That sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, but this is neat. This could be kind of cool. But I feel like you have to have a very specific setup already with like a controller on your phone and all that stuff that for the majority of people might not really do much for. And last news story here, Walmart might have ruined a lot of E3 surprises.
Yep, don't mention this at all. People have been talking about this around me. If you start talking about the actual leak, I'm going to be taking off my headphones and walking out of the room.
I think when you start looking at this list of games, none of these are surprises.
Yeah.
All of these have been...
what I've heard.
What ones have you heard?
I've heard about Forza, and that's it, because I've specifically said anybody who brings it up, I say shut up about it now, otherwise I'll take my headset off and walk out the room.
So let's play a little game. What would you assume? There's only one game on this list that really hasn't been announced. What would be the games on this list that would be shown at this E3 that you could sort of name off the top of your head, both on PS4 and Xbox One?
Okay, Days Gone.
That's not on here. That's already been announced.
True.
These are mostly like unannounced stuff.
The Uncharted with zombies, but number 2. Can't remember the name.
I think that is Days Gone.
No, the other one. The one that's already had a sequel. That's already had the one came out. Ellie and the old guy.
Oh, The Last of Us? That's been announced too.
Thank you. I'm guessing there's a Halo game in there.
No, but I feel like that's probably just assumed.
Yes, pretty much at this point. Honestly, I don't know. Kingdom Hearts 3, probably.
That's
Final
never
Fantasy
coming
7,
out.
probably.
Never coming out. No, there's stuff on here like Gears of War 5. Okay. Borderlands 3. Yep.
I don't expect Gears 5 this year.
No, I feel like that's another. They might do a teaser where it's like a bunch of Locust and the logo, but I don't think Gears 5 would come out this year.
No. If they're going to do it, it's a teaser trailer at best. But Microsoft they cannot afford to do this whole 2 years out thing this year. If they do it, then it's on their heads be it kind of thing. Yeah,
I feel like if they do anything with Gears, I feel like they need to push, like, hey, we're still supporting Gears 4. We're going to put out a bunch of free DLC this year. Look at all these cool maps. Here's the 50 maps you already own, and that sort of stuff. Borderlands 3 is like the worst kept secret that people forget that they already announced that they're hiring for. Yep. So that's not really... The only one on this list that's like... that has gotten a lot of stuff on our Discord server and Twitter and all that stuff is Rage 2. And...
oh, yeah, I've heard about that one.
That's the one where everyone's going, really?
Really?
The Rage sequel? Like another one of those? Like, it could be good, but I feel like the first one was such a missed opportunity that the only real response to that is sort of like, Rage? That one?
Yeah, well, also think about what they've done with the engine. Look at Doom.
Oh, yeah. If you put it on the Doom engine and you make it an open world, like, yeah, that'll be great.
Never mind this mega texture stuff.
Mega textures. All right, let's move on to the questions section here. I'm not reading this person's question from chat, mostly because of their name and their nonsensical question here. Let's hold on. I just got a user in timeout.
I'm just curious if you can hear.
There we go.
I'm just curious if you can hear my wife downstairs.
I thought I heard a little something playing The Division.
Yeah.
Rainbow Six, probably. All right, let's move on. First question here from Jim Bojangles via email, titled "Video Games, Duh," which is great. He says, "My question for you guys this week: do you remember the first game you bought with your own money? Mine was Mega Man 2, and it was money well spent. Do you remember the first game you bought with your hard-earned cash or allowance/birthday money? Why did you pick that game, special game, out of all the others? Thanks, and love the show."
I can name you my two first games I ever bought. I can tell you what my first brand new game I ever bought was, and my first used game was. My first brand new game was Pokemon Red.
Nice.
Yep. My first used game was Super Monaco GP on the Amstrad, because our copy of it was torn because it was a cassette.
Right.
It was a cassette game.
Yep.
So our one was scratched at one point where it was broken, so it wouldn't load past a certain point. So I had to go out and find a copy of that used. And that was the first one I ever bought used, and Pokemon Red, the first new one.
That's a good choice.
Because, I bought that because number one, I read the completely unbiased journalism review Nintendo official magazine.
Yes. Oh man, this new game on the Nintendo platform is great. 9.5 out of 10.
In doing so, also I was a huge fan of the anime at the time. So
that's true.
In no matter what.
I feel like we didn't get allowance money when we were growing up. Like you did chores, and that's how you lived in the house. Like, not my parents were going to kick me out, but like you lived there and you were old enough to like wash dishes, so go do it.
Yep.
So I don't think I think my first game might have been Mega Man 2 as well, and I think that was primarily birthday money. It was either that or Super Mario Brothers 3. It was like right around that era. I had enough birthday and Christmas money, and like maybe someone sent me an Easter card with $20 in it. But it was around that era, and I feel like, why did I pick those games? Because those were like the hottest games on the NES for a real long time. I mean, Mega Man 2 is still really good, but when it came out, that was groundbreaking. Obviously, Super Mario Bros. 3, like if you had an NES, you had to buy it. Yeah. That's like owning a 360 and not owning Gears of War 1 and 2. It's sort of like, what are you doing? Why are you bad?
Yeah, that's true.
Stephen D sent in an email. I've been listening for a while now. Love the show. Thank you. Just want to say, because if you guys have started playing Horizon, I'm assuming Zero Dawn or Forza Horizon, go play those. Those are good.
Both good choices.
Yeah. God of War, Witcher 3, and I beat Prey, which is now one of my favorites. That's right. What would you suggest next? Thanks, and keep up the good work. I would recommend, probably, if it's something that you've been interested in, probably Nier Automata. It's so good, and it's different.
Yeah, if you've got a Switch, Breath of the Wild. If you don't have a Switch, understandable.
Gears of War 4.
That game is so good. Like, so good.
It's really, even if you don't play the multiplayer, like, I didn't touch any of that stuff. I just played the single player. It's really good.
The campaign on that is really good.
Yeah, that campaign is really good, and it looks so good. Oh god.
Yeah.
I don't even have a 4K TV or an Xbox One X, and it looks so good. I'm trying to think of more Xbox stuff, because I feel like I could sit over here and be like, Yakuza 0 and Nier Automata, and a lot of this other stuff.
Sunset Overdrive.
Yes, Sunset Overdrive is super cool. Not like the world's deepest game, but man, that game moves really nicely. You already played Prey. You got the game of the generation out.
If you're interested in a more long-term thing, check out The Division. I loved that game when it came out, and going back to it now, I still love that game. I think it was fairly and unfairly maligned on release, so give it a shot, see how it goes.
It's a brand new copy of it, physical on Amazon, is $20. It's probably digitally, it's like $10 for the gold edition.
Yeah, it's always on sale as well.
Yep.
And who knows, playing it might give you the inspiration to go and check out Division 2 when that comes out in 2019.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what else. I'm trying to think of
Mirror's Edge.
Oh, Mirror's Edge Catalyst. That's literally $5. It's so good. I feel like that's one of the sleeper hits of this generation is Mirror's Edge Catalyst. Everyone skipped it because the first one was uneven. Man, Catalyst is good.
And pretty much the only news coming out of EA was we only made this because you guys wouldn't shut up about it.
Great. How about a third one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hashtag Skate 4.
Someday for all you Skate fans out there.
Come on. If they make the Skate 4 announcement at E3, I'll be happy.
Yeah. Mechanical Beak in YouTube chat asks, have you ever played a game that you thought was bad on your first playthrough, but then you gave it a second chance and you thought it was awesome? For me, that was Deus Ex Mankind Divided.
Halo? The very first Halo game?
Oh, yeah.
I went into that like going into every other first-person shooter at the time. Why can I not just run a gun? Why am I so vulnerable? Why am I getting killed all the time?
Right.
And then I stopped. I approached it differently.
Got some strategery.
I'm a huge fan of the Halo series because it is a combat playground where it is very tactically driven.
Yeah.
Not to mention its co-op.
Yes. Which is very important. I think for me, it was actually the first of the newest XCOM games. Just that first one that I bought it on 360 when it came out, and I fired it up, and I was like, this is fine. This is all right.
Yeah.
And I think like almost a year later, I fired it up, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so good. This is really great.
My favorite example for me is Mass Effect.
Yeah.
I bounced off the very first Mass Effect. The only reason I went back to it was because Mass Effect 2 was announced and looking really good. So I thought
those trailers that came out with from Mass Effect 2 was just like, maybe they smoothed out all that rough stuff.
So I went back and I played Mass Effect 1 and I trampled that game to bits and I loved every second of it when I went back to it.
Yeah. Death 2K in Discord asks, any superhero game announcements this E3 other than Spider-Man? If so, who would you want? Who would I want a superhero game as?
I would say Venom, but we've already got the prototype games.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess that was a Venom game.
100% when you get the special abilities and you basically just jumped down, landed, and it was like a web of things just killed everything in sight. Yeah. Superman.
This is like where my comics knowledge fails me. Like maybe make a portal game out of Doctor Strange.
That's kind of an interesting idea.
Bridge constructor Doctor Strange. Sorry, I just cracked myself up.
Oh my word.
I feel like when they did the Telltale Guardians of the Galaxy game, like that was a good choice. But basically everyone sort of said they pooched it.
Yeah. I think give me an Ace Combat game with anybody who has a jet. You know, give me a Guardians of the Galaxy game, but
with the Milano,
not as deep. Yeah, with the Milano, and it's basically an Ace Combat game, except it's in space.
Yeah.
And instead of flying around all these buildings, you're flying around all the asteroids.
That could be cool. I feel like we've always had this problem with Superman games. We're sort of like with so many of these superhero games is how do you get a fail state? Like, Superman can't ever really die. That's why his games are bad. That's why Batman games are pretty good, because you shoot him a couple times and he's dead.
Yep.
But with so many of these superheroes, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see a Wonder Woman game based specifically on the movie adaptation of Wonder Woman, because Gal Gadot is killing it as that character.
Yeah. Make it like the old God of War games.
Yeah, that's actually not.
Get some whipping action going on.
Yep, she's got the whip, she's got the braces.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, if you haven't seen Justice League, you need to watch the start of that movie just for the Wonder Woman introduction section, because they do character intros.
Yeah.
It's mighty incredible.
Really?
Like her section, and that's the best part of the movie for me is the first 10 minutes when you see Wonder Woman. It's great.
Yeah. I feel like this is where my comic and superhero knowledge really fails me. Is I don't live in that world enough that to even know, like, Spider-Man is already a really great choice, and I really hope that game turns out to be good because it looks really good.
It does.
But other than that, like, a lot of superhero games, I don't...
They all become the same game is the problem. They're all character action games.
Yep.
That's all they are.
That's why the Arkham games were so successful. Like, Arkham Asylum was successful because they took Batman and they put him in a Metroidvania. And you were like, oh, well, this is... And they created a new fighting engine, which is now just the Arkham battle engine.
Yeah, it's the character action engine now.
Yeah. T-Bomb Rocks in Discord asks, what's the most amount of money you spent on a single game? DLC, microtransactions, etc. What's the most amount of money you've spent on a series, including digital and physical items like peripherals, statues, etc.? Most money we spent on a single game, like for DLC and stuff.
Single game Fallout 4 Pip-Boy edition. Specifically because Jess has every single collector's edition for the Fallout games, and she wasn't able to afford that one, so I bought it for her. Generally speaking, I don't do collector's editions anymore. I don't do special editions. I buy everything digitally, so it's pointless a lot of going out and getting a box.
A lot of the limited editions I do are for steelbooks and stuff, and less like statues and figurines and pouches and boxes and stuff like that. I don't have the room to store that stuff, but I do like how a lot of the steelbooks look. They usually have some pretty cool key art on the side of them. I'm trying to think of what DLC I've bought that's been really expensive that hasn't been like a season pass or something like that.
I can tell you what this household, as a whole, has spent the most money on one game by a landslide, and I can tell you what that game is. I couldn't tell you the amount, but I can tell you the game. It's Rocket League.
Oh, yeah, but they do so much of their cosmetic DLC right.
Yes, they do, and they don't really lock any, like, none of it is really impacting the game if you can't get it out of a loot crate. And to be honest, the game was $25.
Yeah.
And their DLC has been free.
And a lot of their DLC,
have an esports league.
If it is for pay, it's usually pretty cheap. It's not like $50 for one new car skin. It's like, hey man, it's $3 for 10 things.
Yeah, the Rocket League stuff has always been so great because the stuff you have to pay for DLC-wise, vehicles, it's licensed stuff. It's the Batmobile. It's the Fast and Furious car. It's the DeLorean. Everything else, all the skins and stuff are just in crates, which they cycle out crates all the time. And I haven't personally bought any keys, but I know somebody else in this household
a couple floors down.
Yes. And it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I'd say easily probably about $250 by now, at least.
Oh, God. Well, speaking of keys, pin packs. That has to be my most expensive game. God, that was so stupid. Oh, God. I get so mad at myself. Why did I buy so many pin packs?
I'm so glad I'm super patient because, number one, as she will herself admit, it allows me to deal with my wife a lot better. But also it means that I don't care if I got to spend 80 hours in your game. I will spend 80 hours to get what I need to out of it.
Yeah.
Even if it's $5. It's like, no. Take my 80 hours, not my $5.
Yeah, man, I don't even know what came over me with pin packs. A dark time. Like, it wasn't to the point where like I couldn't afford food, but it was sort of like, do I have 15? Yeah, I do, and I guess I already spent it. Whoops.
Yep.
I think his other half of the question is, I think the most I've spent on one franchise is probably World of Warcraft, because I bought all of their collector's editions, because they're all the same size and shape. They all look like books. Like I have,
and they're all cool as hell.
Yeah, they're all cool as hell, and they come with like DLC for all of their games, like Heroes of the Storm and Diablo 3 and StarCraft 2, and like you get all this cool stuff and a Blu-ray and a art book and a mouse pad.
Not to mention, you can sell one of those mounts and pay for the whole thing.
Yeah, I wish. If I wasn't such like a digital hoarder, I would totally pay for that. But yeah. Let's move on. Monkey Senior in Discord asks, the top post on the Nintendo Switch subreddit right now is a robot named Fight, or how a robot named Fight is surprisingly fun. I talked about that a little bit last week. It's like if Super Metroid and Binding of Isaac had a baby. What are some other game genres you'd love to have a baby with Binding of Isaac? Well, that's a good question. What other game would you like to have sort of mushed together with some element of Binding of Isaac?
Well, I mean, I would say third-person shooter, but apparently the Division's had that for a while now.
Yeah. Well, and plus we'll have Risk of Rain 2, which is now in 3D.
True.
Oh, man.
I mean, give me a, well, I was about to say, give me a nice quick run-based first-person shooter in general, but then I realized Ziggurat already exists. Yeah,
and Ziggurat's real good. Uh-huh. I feel like the problem here with coming up with one of these, not the question isn't bad, the question is good. The problem with coming up with an answer for this is I feel like because roguelikes and roguelites have been so popular over the last couple of years, everyone has tried like the game dev story where it's like, I'm going to pick roguelike and I'm just going to go through the list and pick every genre until something works.
Let's see what sticks.
Yeah.
I mean, the two most popular games in the world right now are third-person shooter roguelikes. You have one life, you're on a plane with 100 people, you die, you're out.
You're opening up.
That's a rogue.
like PUBG and Fortnite are both very popular for the randomization and the rolling, because it's really great to play or watch someone where it's like, okay, they're going to open up a chest. Is it going to be something super cool, or is it going to be the worst item in the game and they're just going to have to deal with it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think if there's a game that features... I feel like I haven't really seen like an old school platformer with roguelike elements that isn't something like a Robot Named Fight or Rogue Legacy or something that has something like that. If it is, I guess if it is randomized, it's an auto runner. So I guess that is your roguelike platformer.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't really think of anything because that's the problem with Borderlands 1. The whole thing was all of a sudden RPGs are in everything, and now it's just like everything is in everything. No genres exist anymore.
Yeah, it's all just video games.
Yep. Duh.
Yeah, exactly. And last but not least, Maximus Prime asks us a question on Discord. So right now I'm listening to the Swapper Game Club recap. Thank you. And a question hit me. Have you gents ever listened to a podcast about a specific game and their description made you know you'd never touch the game? And then you put a laughing, crying emoji. If so, what are some of the games that the more you heard about them, the more you realize you'd save your money and time and pass on them?
Anytime anybody in anything I listen to or watch says, it's a fighting game, check mark, out, see ya.
Yeah, definitely not your genre.
No.
I feel like for me right now, it's not really a genre, but it's more of a feature. And we're talking about it for Dark Souls, and we're talking about it for Monster Hunter World and State of Decay 2 initially, is like if I can't pause this game, I'm going to have a real hard time. Like Destiny 2, I racked up a lot of deaths in single player just because someone was using me as a jungle gym. That's a real, and that's like a real benefit of the Yakuza games is even in the middle of a cutscene, I can hit the options button.
Just the stop button, dude.
I know. And you just pause the game and then everything's fine. I feel like that. I feel like I try to play a lot of different genres. Sports games are obviously not something that I'm really interested in, just because I'm not interested in sports, other than like Super Mega Baseball 2.
Yeah, it's kind of really good.
Yeah. And it's free for this
I
month.
don't know why I sounded like a creeper.
Yeah. But I feel like that lack of pausing is really the thing when someone says, oh yeah, and it's a game, you can't really pause it, it's really cool. And I'm like, but I can't play it. Sorry.
Yep.
And those games are really cool. Not right now.
Yeah. I think the big thing for me is it's not a case of I'll never play it, because I think we've shown through I've got a red book here full of all of the games I've played.
Yeah.
And I think I've shown I'll play pretty much anything. It's just what I won't do is go out and spend $60 on a fighting game day one.
Right.
I'll go out and spend it on X, Y, and Z day one, because I know I will play it for 8 hours and then never play it again.
Yep.
And I have too many games right now to be spending $60 on something I probably won't even play for another 6 months.
It's a lot of like Call of Duty. I would play a Call of Duty game, but I'm not going to drop $60 to play through the campaign in less than 10 hours. Mm-hmm. The multiplayer in Call of Duty is not for me. Just like with Battlefield, it's not really aimed for me. So
yeah,
it's not necessarily that this one's tough because I feel like we play the majority of everything. And it's not like we avoid it. It's just like, I'm not going to pick up Call of Duty because it's not, for my $60, it's not a ton of content.
Yeah, I mean, look at me. I will play all of the sports games. I might not understand how hockey or basketball work, or even baseball.
Does anyone?
For that matter, but I will still play the games.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for writing in all your questions. We carried over some of them from technical difficulties of last week, so we had a super filled episode that we've already been recording for almost 3 hours. So,
clock it in at 3, folks.
Yeah. If you'd like to visit us, you can do so at tvgp.tv. All the links are on the right-hand side of the page, especially to Discord. Come hang out with us. We're running whatever Marvel game you're playing. Apparently, we are too. So we got a bunch of channels for those. Discord or Patreon. Oh, go ahead.
Superhero game, Animal Crossing in the Marvel Universe, where you control an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. and you've got to get all of the superheroes into your house, bar, into your
That'd
village.
be pretty good.
There we go. There's my answer to that question.
Yeah. Patreon.com/E1M1. Don't forget to get some cool behind the scenes and bonus episodes over there. Twitch, YouTube, Mixer, Hitbox. Follow us there. It'll let you know when we go live. We'll see you all next week.
Bye-bye.
One, two, three, four, five, 6 titles.
Only 6. You a slacking young man.
You fool!
Okay, are we ready?
Ready.
Patreon Papa.
I've got that one.
Thanos is so hot right now.
Yeah, I've got that one.
Mobile phone game Hokum.
Yep.
Don't Destiny to it. I'm sorry, but does it get really nasty?
What were we talking about for that one?
That's Yakuza.
Okay.
Because you were in the chat thing and I said, does it get really nasty?
Yeah.
My naivety is showing through.
Yep.
You like your dark stuff. Really? Using me like a jungle gym. And my personal vote, video games. Duh.
Oh, that one's really good. If I can spell video, put an O at the end of that. Video games, comma, duh. I have Patreon Papa, Shovel Some Fools, a maxed out Yoda. Because it's like how you said, like, a maxed out Yoda. I just think when he's been lifting weights. Yes. Thanos is so hot right now. Whale money. Bridge constructor Doctor Strange. I don't know why it cracks me up so much. Does it get really nasty? You like your dark and video games. Duh.
I'm torn between Thanos is so hot right now and video games. Duh.
Yeah.
Just the way you dropped it like you were like a teenage girl in a California house.
Thanos is so hot right now.
Hot right now. He's in. It's the spring colors. Purple and gold.
It's purple and gold. He's got all 5 colors of the season. I I sort of feel like Thanos is Hot right now is a really great title, not only because he is, but then the title would also be.
Yes.
Okay. We'll circle that one. Circle. All right. Starting in 3, 2, 1. This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 551 from May 14th, 2018. Thanos is so hot right now.
Purple and gold is definitely the way to go.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you.
Monster episode.
My wife just said, if I were to make brownies, is that thing you'd eat? I gotta go.
Yes.
Thank you very much, everyone, for
my brownies.
I mean, you have cheesecake. Who cares about you?
Yeah.
Yeah, see? All right, thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Appreciate all you new peeps coming and joining us. Down at the bottom, subscribe somewhere. We'll be back same time next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, and we can stop recording.